Hello, I am the biased commenter. Today we are talking Zohran Mamdani running for mayor in New York City. Is he a communist? We will find out now. Either way, he is making headlines with bold promises and ambitious ideas. But what do they actually mean for the city's families, businesses, and neighborhoods? In this video, I will break down his campaign platform, highlight potential problems, and ask questions his supporters aren't talking about. Let's get right into it, starting with his own a website here, zohranfornyc.com. This is his own agenda, his own platform. Before we dig into it, or while we dig into it, I guess, let's compare common characteristics of communism, right? Starting here at the top, collective ownership and centralized government. This is your freezing the rent and city-owned grocery stores, right? If you plan to have publicly owned grocery stores where the city government would manage operations, pricing, sourcing, rather than letting a private grocery store owner or neighborhoods control food access, that is collective ownership and centralized government. If you are converting private housing, if you are controlling the price that landlords can set, if you are controlling operations, if you are managing the operations, right, cracking down on bad landlords, if you are a government managing these operations, managing the prices, that is collective ownership and centralized government and abolition of private property all in one. And onto that note of abolition of private property, there are also reports. Now, granted, this is from the New York Post, and I could not find the video that we're talking about here, but just a quick quote from Mamdani himself. If there was any system that could guarantee each person housing, whether you call it the abolition of private property or you call it a statewide housing guarantee, it is preferable to what is going on right now. People try to play gotcha games about these kind of things. Look, I care more about whether someone has a home. He literally just said right there, he does not mind the abolition of private property as long as it gets more people into a house in America. Well, that brings us right into our next point, which is a classless society. If you are removing the bottom classes, that is also removing classes from a class society. If you are removing homeless people, if you are trying to overtax, right? If you are going in and say, how are we going to pay for all this stuff? Well, we're going to make sure that our 1% doesn't exist anymore. We're going to make sure that our richest corporations do not exist anymore. We're going to have a classless society based on that. As for planned economy, right? This is telling everybody everything is free. Let's kind of zoom out here a little bit. This is telling everybody everything is free, right? When you go to fast, fare-free buses, right? Public transit should be reliable, safe, and universally acceptable. But 1 in 5 New Yorkers struggle to afford the ever-rising fare. If you freeze the rent, if you control the price for groceries, if you make everything free buses, no cost childcare, baby baskets for New Yorkers, right? All of that stuff is a planned economy. This is all government mandated economy marks. This is communism. We know communism doesn't work. Why are we going to vote for this in America, right? Next point, lack of individual freedoms. Time and time again, Mamdani stresses equality over freedom, right? I care more about whether somebody has a home. Equality over freedom. Censorship, I will just secede this point for this video, for this part one of what I'm doing here. I will secede this point because it is hard until Mamdani gets voted in, if he gets voted in. It is hard to prove any censorship, right? Authoritarianism is also hard to prove, but based on the rest of his agenda and how he plans on carrying out that agenda, I think that you can tie in authoritarianism. But for now, I will grant that censorship has not been proven, and I cannot prove it in this video, and I won't try. However, for authoritarianism, right, how does he plan on making sure that the rest of his policies, right? How does he plan on making sure that his planned economy works? How does he make sure that he has collective ownership and centralized government? Well, authoritarianism is even in his own agenda. Here we'll look at cracking down on bad landlords. If you guys read into this, I'm not going to read into this today because in my last video, I kind of read into a lot of videos and I read into a lot of articles, made the video a little bit longer. This is all on ZohranForNYC.com. Have a read for yourself. In here, we see that Zohran will streamline the housing code enforcement, will increase fines for dangerous living, force landlords to take extreme heat seriously, expand the scope, funding, and staffing of cities' enforcement programs. So this is, fact on fact. If you want to see the authoritarian side of his agenda, look no further than his own website, right? Look no further than how is he going to crack down on bad landlords? How is he going to make sure that the corporations and the 1% adhere to what he wants to do? Please do look into this for yourself. But what I want to look into now is the full plan for Mamdani's revenue here. How to play for the Mamdani agenda. This is downloaded from his website. One thing I really want to get into here is right here. I can't weave a highlight, so we're just going to have to deal with the index highlighting for now. But taxing the wealthiest New Yorkers, raising the top state corporate tax rate to 11.5%, the same rate as New Jersey's, raises $5 billion a year. Adding a 2%, so both of these on top of each other. Adding a 2% New York City income tax for anyone making over $1 million a year raises $4 billion a year. So they're going to raise $9 billion a year on the hardest working, the most successful people in New York. Real quick, just because off of this wording here, right, that they are going to raise the top corporate tax to 11.5%, the same rate as New Jersey's. That is misleading, right? I'm going to look into here. This is the taxfoundation.org 2022 findings on state local tax burdens by state. New York is ranked last. In 2022, New York has the highest tax burden already, the state of New York. And what Mamdani wants to do is take the city of New York and increase the tax burden that the richest people have there. And all under the guise that it's going to even out to the boroughs next to them or to the cities and the states next to them. It's very untrue. It's not real, guys. Look into this yourselves. There's more graphs here, but this is probably the easiest one to understand. I would encourage you guys to go look into this yourself. Obviously, I'm just showing you a little bit of this because we only have so much time here today. The argument that you're going to make the richest people pay, what will happen when corporations in the 1% in New York City have to pay more tax than anybody else in the country? What will they end up doing? What are the richest people in New York City going to end up doing if their income is taxed 2% on top of the other tax that they have to deal with in New York City? And that's if the price of living comes down, which it's not guaranteed to. These people will leave and they will go to other cities. You see Texas, 8.6%, Florida, 9.1%, very well ranked in the United States. They will leave and we will have new cities become pillars for our economy. And at the meantime, crushing New York City as a pillar for our economy. Coming back to kind of the website here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. And I kind of just want to talk about something that I don't see here, which is a part of the Mamdani campaign because it's talked about a lot. It's talked about by him a good amount. And that is kind of under this safety thing, right? It's the defunding of the police. It is a stance that he is taking against policing in America. See here, the New York Post again. If you don't like the New York Post about this, don't worry, I have more. Zohran Mamdani wants to end all misdemeanor charges for easy pass criminals. The number one thing I want to show you is this picture right here. The misdemeanors the DSA wants to erase aren't minor slip-ups. In the Empire State, they include theft or shoplifting up to $1,000, drug possession, assault without a weapon, and even driving while intoxicated. The most serious misdemeanors currently carry a maximum penalty of 1 year in jail. I mean, look at these examples, right? DWI, forcible touching, sexual misconduct, second-degree sexual misconduct, second-degree sexual abuse, and third-degree ID theft. He wants to decriminalize these misdemeanors and all. He says that we are wasting too much time on this. You don't believe New York Post? We'll go on here to the dailysignal.com. Mamdani surges ahead in New York City race, promises to dismantle traditional policing. Zoom in here for you. For all of the working class to achieve collective liberation, we must constrain, diminish, and abolish the carceral forces of the state, from prisons and police themselves to their manifestations in all forms throughout society. That is the takeaway, right? I will keep saying over and over again, these are communist policies. Zohran is a communist. The argument is that he is not a communist. He's a Democrat socialist. My argument is, I don't care. It's just as bad. Here we have the website of Democrat Socialist of America. Defund, abolish, create. The National Abolition Working Group was formed to create a collective orientation towards abolitionists organizing within the DSA and to build meaningful relationships with external organizations committed to the struggle for liberation. Here we read the DSA political platform. Let me zoom in. I believe I have something highlighted here. Here we go. Abolition of the carceral state. This is what we just read. They want to abolish the carceral state. And here is, we are committed to the horizon of abolition and the path leading us there. Our demands: defund the police by rejecting any expansion to police budgets or scope of enforcement while cutting budgets annually towards zero. This is important. When you hear Mamdani get pressured on how he feels about the police in New York City, he repeatedly says that he will not expand past the number, but he will not also defund and abolish the police. Really? Why won't you expand? Is it because your party won't allow for that? Is it because you cannot expand based on your policies? Based on your party's demands? They will fire officers with excessive force complaints and freeze new hires. Freeze new hires while firing, right? That's what we're going to do. End the criminalization of working class survival. End all misdemeanor offenses, accounting for 80% of total court dockets. Reduce jail churn by reducing arrest and cut funding to prosecutors' offices. Freedom for all incarcerated people. Stop all funding of prison expansion. Stop funding of new buildings and close local jails. Disarm law enforcement officers, including the police and private security. This is the Democrat Socialist of America, and I would argue they are communist. This is a part of their website here. Definitely doesn't have the color coding of what I would expect a communist website to hold, right? Please check out DSA platform for yourself. Finally, I just want to say, we know that communism is wrong for America, and historically it does not work. It is bad for the citizens that live there, but the people that are in control of the country have the most to gain. Look at Vladimir Putin, estimated one of the richest men in the world, of over $3 billion, I believe, $2 billion. Do not quote me on that. And then you look at Xi Jinping, who's like $1 billion below him. The people that control these communist regimes end up being some of the wealthiest people, and they govern people that are uneducated, people that are lied to, and people that do not have their own capital. Obviously, in this video, I pretty much only covered policy stuff from Zohran Mamdani. There's a lot more out there to cover. I think mainly the Islam and Sharia side of Mamdani's beliefs. I am working on that video. If you guys want that up, 10 likes. As soon as we hit 10 likes, I will post it. That is the video that I wanted to cover the most, but I felt like I could not do a 15-minute video properly without having another video in front of it. So we're going to call this part 1, part 2. 10 likes for part 2. I am the biased commentator. Thank you guys for listening. Stay free.